Hey guys, it's the Living Visionary here, and today we're going to be talking about WandaVision. Well, specifically this is going to be my review on WandaVision, and why I thought it was so great, and why I think that if you haven't watched it, or if you're not like a big Marvel fan and you're on the fence about it, why I think you should actually go ahead and watch this. Okay, so WandaVision is a show about two MCU characters, a part of the Avengers, Wanda Maximoff and her cybernetic lover, the Vision. Just in case you don't know who these people are, don't feel bad. The MCU did a terrible job at developing these characters. So, here's just a quick rundown. Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch, and the Vision basically first appear in Avengers Age of Ultron to fight him off. They join the Avengers, but of course later, Thanos comes, rips out the Infinity Stone from Vision's head, and he's kinda gone. WandaVision takes place 3 weeks after Endgame, but weirdly enough, the first episode seems to almost take place in some strange 50s type TV sitcom. Each episode takes place in a different era of television and continuously makes references to shows like The Vic Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy, all the way to shows like Modern Family and even like small nods to The Office. In the show, Wanda and Vision live out their lives as this suburban couple, basically in this perfect little magical land. But at the same time, the more and more the show goes on, they start to wonder how they even got into the situation. Like, they both seemingly forget about their past lives as Avengers, but only really just know that they're just, here. They don't really understand what's going on. When you compare it to other MCU properties, it's very different. When it comes to the originality of it all, it's so different from anything we've ever seen before. People would usually criticize Marvel for not ever taking a risk or just basically doing the same thing over and over again in all corporate style. But with WandaVision, it feels so new. It just feels like a giant leap from anything we've ever seen before in the MCU. The show literally starts off with Wanda and Vision being dropped off into the freaking the 50s, but like a TV sitcom of the 50s, and it's just like we don't get any answer of to what is even happening, of why they're even there in the beginning. We just don't understand what's happening, and that's one of the biggest mysteries of the show. If anything, this show is kind of basically like a mystery / love story, which is very different from what Marvel usually does. Marvel has never really done anything like this. Although I have to say that the creator of the show, Jack Schaefer, has definitely made love stories before. Like, she made Timer, and so she's not new to this. She knows how to make a good love story. I really love the setting of the show because the setting is constantly changing. You go from like the 50s into the next episode into the 60s and 70s and so on. You continuously keep going through different eras of the show, of television, until we finally reach the last episode where we're basically in an actual like cinematic movie, like into like what normally we see from Marvel. And I love the fact that again, it's different from normal Marvel stuff that we see because just that setting itself is continuously changing with the direction. It feels like we're watching a new show in every episode, and I just find that amazing. We have some great characters in the show, but my personal favorite was Kathryn Hahn, who basically played Agnes the entire time. And she's basically a comic relief character who kind of just always shows up in these comedic moments, and weirdly enough, she at first she doesn't seem as important, but she continuously gets more and more important as the show goes on, almost to a point where you think she like knows more than she's letting on. And she was basically my favorite character from the get-go, and she just never disappointed. I also have to say I love Paul Bettany's performance. I basically love the Vision and all of this. I love everything he says, all of his speeches, all of his Vision is just an amazing character who is like the most rational, smartest character there, and everything he says it just feels like symbolic. His entire place in this show is just you can really connect with it, and it's really amazing. When it comes to the plot of the show, I was sucked into it because it's an entire mystery. Each and every episode ends on a cliffhanger, and basically I was watching it while it was coming out weekly, and that was torture, waiting for every answer to be every question to be answered for like these last couple of months. And luckily, whoever watches this afterwards doesn't have to go through that. So essentially, it pulls you throughout the entire story continuously because it's so engaging. I can't go into any of the actual plots or whatever because it would be spoilers. that I would want you to see for yourself, but it's still, I recommend watching it simply just from that fact that it's always going to keep you interested. There was never a point in the show where I got bored. When it comes to the ending of WandaVision, it hits all the right places because since it answers all of the questions that you've been asking, it's also extremely emotional, and even on the side for the Marvel fans that are used to the action-packed endings, it hits there too. It hits on every single front that you would possibly want. It's very satisfying. It answers all the questions. It all ends very perfectly. It all ends very emotionally. It's kind of a tearjerker, and it's just all around satisfying. And it hits on the themes of grief. Like, all of the ending relies on like the entire themes of the entire show, which is basically grief, and how essentially Wanda is grieving right now because she's lost her parents, she's lost her brother, she's lost Vision, her lover, and it continuously hits her, and she's going through every single stage of grief, from denial, depression, all of it. It goes through all the stages of grief, and it becomes very relatable at some points because of that. So all in all, just because of all those things, I have to honestly rate WandaVision 5 stars. It's very different from what Marvel's ever done. It's very amazing. It's almost brilliant. I'm not gonna say it's the most perfect thing Marvel's ever put out, but it's amazing. Like, no one's gonna be like unsatisfied after watching this. No one's gonna hate it. I recommend watching it. And yeah, that's my review. If you liked it, then consider subscribing, maybe liking it, And peace.